Hi, I'm Nimish. Imagine being able to connect Cursor to a database and use natural conversational language instead of SQL to interact with the data. Or connect Cursor to a search engine and do whatever search engine does. For example, search for local businesses, search for real-time financial information such as stock prices or news alerts. All of this with a few clicks. That's the power of MCP. Stick around, and towards the end, I'm going to try to build my own MCP server. Let's dive right in. Okay, now we're at the MCP server's official GitHub repository. As always, I'm going to put links to everything in the description below. Go ahead and check out this code, clone this repo locally. I'm going to download a sample NBA database. This is an open source database from Kaggle. Kaggle is a really cool community of data scientists and machine learning enthusiasts. I'm going to put a link to this one in the description as well. So you can download this database right here, nba.sqlite. Great. Now let's open up Cursor and go to settings. And within settings, you could go to MCP and then add a new global MCP server. That's going to open up this MCP JSON file. If you're using the latest version of Cursor, this is what you're going to see. The older versions of Cursor have a slightly separate, slightly different interface. Now, what I've done here is that I have copied a config that I've previously created. It's very, very simple. Basically, what this says is that these are MCP servers, and I'm dealing with that SQLite MCP server, and I'm going to use a command UV to access the SQLite local database. If you don't have the UV command, and if you're on a Mac, feel free to use Homebrew to install UV. It's very, very straightforward. Now we'll go ahead and save it. Perfect. So now this is saved. Let's go ahead and interact with this data right here using the local SQLite data, or I'm going to call it NBA data. Show me the winning guest team in the last 5 years. Great. Let's see how that goes. Okay, so it is trying to connect. This is fantastic. And now it's reading tables. It's understanding the data structure underneath. And you see how I am using natural language, and I've used a kind of a fairly complex query if you think about it. I've just used simple language to describe what I want rather than SQL. This is the beauty of MCP. This is why I love MCP. And it's running more queries. And I love that it's asking every single time whether it should execute a read query. It's being very cautious in how it accesses our data, which I appreciate. And you see how it's running a whole bunch of SQL queries to give us a list of the winningest teams. And if you're curious, you could see this data right here. Wow, this is awesome. Using the sample data set, it shows that Milwaukee Bucks were the most winningest team. Obviously, this isn't the most accurate, most real-time data, but this is really cool. Now, you can use your imagination to interact with the SQL data in any way you like. That's the power of MCP. This is why I really am excited about this technology. Let's start with another example. In the MCP servers directory within the source folder, you will see that there is a folder for Brave Search. That's the Brave Search MCP server. It's very, very simple to install the server. Follow the instructions right here. Let's go ahead and add this npx configuration. You will need an API key with Brave. The instructions to create an API with Brave is described here. It's extremely simple. You can create an account with Brave. And I did, for the demo purposes, I created a free subscription, and I used a free tier to create an API key. So let's just go ahead and do that. And let's add it into our MCP server within Cursor. Go to Settings, go to MCP, and add new global MCP server. You'll see that we already have the previous SQLite server here. So let's go ahead and add more here. Basically, what we're saying here is that we have the SQLite server, but I'm also adding a new Brave Search MCP server. It uses npx as the command. So if you don't have npx installed, use Homebrew and add your Brave API key. I'm going to go ahead and delete this API key after this video. So just go ahead and save it. And let's check our MCP server. And boom, it's connected. It's green. This is fantastic. So now let's go ahead and interact with it. Using the Brave MCP, give me a list of 5-star restaurants within a 10-mile radius of, let's call it 902. Return 10 results. This is great. So now it's connecting the MCP local search tool. And let's see how that goes. You got a rate limit error, so it's going to try it again. This is amazing. Boom, there you go. It gave a list of 5-star restaurants within Beverly Hills. Not a tough task, but it returned really, really cool results. So that's awesome. Now you can imagine using the Brave MCP server. It's a search engine API, so you could do all kinds of applications that you want. Cool. Now let's try and build our own MCP server. I want to do something interesting here. Instead of just doing small projects here and there, I want to do something interesting. I want to be able to call one system and have that system make another system take some action. For example, if I get a lead, then I want to be able to send out an email automatically. And for things like these, Zapier is pretty awesome. It has thousands of integrations, and they've done the legwork of making those connections very, very easy. And within a few clicks, you'll be able to integrate a lot of different systems and build complex flows. So let's go ahead and try that. I've created an account with Zapier, and it's free to try. So let's start with a trigger. I want to be able to try a new webhook. And let's say that I do a post to an endpoint. So it's a catch hook, and continue, and test the trigger. Okay, so perfect. So now we've created webhooks here, and we want these webhooks to trigger something. What action should it trigger? I want to be able to say, okay, connect, send a Slack message. I want to be able to say, send a Slack message in a channel. Send channel message. Let's do that. And I've connected my Slack account here. It's extremely simple. It just takes a few clicks. And I want to be able to say some message. And we'll continue. Perfect. So now we have connected this. Let's go to MCP server directory and search for Zapier. And you'll see the Zapier listing here. It takes you to their Get Started page. You can connect your account. Now, here you have your own unique endpoint, and we want to be able to configure some actions within that endpoint. Let's configure webhooks. I want to say that I want to send a webhook, and I want to copy my webhook trigger URL here. And once I've copied that, I want to enter that trigger URL here. Done. Okay. Let's copy our MCP server endpoint and go to Cursor where we can add our MCP server. Add a global MCP, Zapier flow, URL, and then the key. That's it. And boom, now it's connected. This is great. Now, let's see if I'm able to trigger this Zapier. Using the Zapier MCP, trigger the webhook. Let's see how it works. Tool. And did I get a Slack message? Apparently not. Something was probably misconfigured. And boom, there you go. Within a few clicks, we built our own MCP server that connects to Zapier, triggers a webhook, which in turn sends a Slack message. This is fantastic. This is the power of MCP. Well, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe to the channel and comment, ask me questions. Let me know how you're planning on implementing all of this, and I'll be able to answer your questions. Thank you.